Flosstube, it's Jen here again, not cross Jen, coming to you with Flosstube number 6, just as a big old bright bit of sunshine comes out behind where you guys are on my phone there. So let's see how squinty this video might get. Makes my eyes look blue, doesn't it? Goodness me. Goodness gracious me. I have to shift stuff that is like shining on all my paper. So I've got my show notes, which I will keep kind of periodically looking at. But hello, so welcome back to anybody that's watched me before, and welcome to any new joiners and new viewers. I've exceeded 250 subscribers, which is so exciting, and I think I've got more than 700 views on my last video on Flosstube number 5. So I think it helped that I put a bit of a title in the video title on YouTube. So instead of like my previous, I had like Flosstube 3 or Flosstube 2 or whatever, Flosstube 4 was I'm engaged, which I think probably helped people that might be interested in hearing about an engagement to have a look. And Flosstube 5, I said I'd done the Mirabilia conversion and had lots of whips, and yeah, so I think I'll need a title for this one as well. But for now, Flosstube number 6. It is Saturday the 1st of August. My plan, if you've stuck with me for a while, was to film every other Wednesday, but here I am at the start of August anyway, so happy August everybody. So let's go to life update. The life update is linked into why I'm filming on Saturday actually, so I thought I would tell you about Wednesday just gone, a couple of days ago, when I did have all intentions of filming my Flosstube video, but Nino had to go to the vets. Well, so the upshot is he didn't have to go to the vets at all, but I'm an overprotective cat mum, and he had started on the Tuesday. He was on his chair. Can you see that behind me in the corner there? Oop, I can't point at it, but there's a chair there with like a lovely crocheted blanket on, which is where Nino spends a lot of time sleeping, and he had started drooling a little bit on the Tuesday, and he's only 2 years old, so I knew he wasn't old enough to be like old cat dribbling yet, but I didn't think too much of it. But then on the Wednesday morning, when he came into the cat flap for the first time in the morning to eat his breakfast, he had like the drool was hanging from the sides of his mouth, and it was clearly like a more constant stream, I guess, of spit coming down. Sorry, it's a bit grim. Hopefully nobody's eating their dinner. You don't mind because it's Nino. Anyway, he's absolutely fine, he's adorable. I'm gonna insert a picture for you here of him that I took. So the picture I took before, he was like actually of him doing the drool, but this one that I will insert now is really cute. He's like upside down doing a Nino. So right, the upshot is he's absolutely fine. So I was just really panicked because obviously Googling a cat illness symptom is not a good idea, and when I Googled it, it was like, oh, well, if he's drooling and drinking a lot more, then it could be a sign of a kidney failure. So I went into crazy panic. So basically we had to get him into the vets, and it was a long wait outside the vets before they could see him. And then we decided that we would pay for a blood test because they couldn't see anything in his mouth or any problems. So we paid for the blood test, and it was all perfect. So in a lot of ways, I'm glad that we've got that reassurance, because you wouldn't have any cause to test your cat's blood, I suppose, unless there was something worrying you. So that side of it is nice, but like the following day he was absolutely fine and there was no drool at all again. So he'd obviously just eaten something peculiar, or maybe got something stuck in his throat that was causing that. So yeah. What's the moral of that story, I think, is he would have been fine, but then also he might not have been, you know, he might have like had something stuck or a really sore tooth or something, so it's fine. I'm glad we took him. So that was Wednesday. I'm continuing with my part-time, my Wednesdays being the day off, and that was supposed to end next week, but work have invited me to extend it to the end of September, which I very happily did. It's kind of funny because my boss was a little bit like, oh, you should be thinking about your career and the impact it might have, and, you know, maybe whatever. And I was like, that's all well and good, but Wednesday is nap day and stitching day, and I love it, and I don't really want to look back. So, yeah, career versus napping. I think I chose the right decision. What else on life update? Does anybody play a game called Township? So I do, and I heard about it on Kate's Crafty Corner actually. So I was watching Kate. She's Kate that's kind of the admin for the Stitchy Quest group on Facebook, the Lord of the Rings themed one. And I watched a recent video of hers, and she mentioned that rather than stitching, she'd been playing quite a lot of Township. And I just thought to myself, like, I don't have any games that I'm kind of addicted to or that I play on the tablet or the phone at the moment. So I thought I would check it out, and I kind of knew when I did that I would be going down a rabbit hole, and that's well and truly where I am. So it's one of these things where you kind of plant crops and then you harvest the crops and you put them in the factory to make goods with them, and then you've got to fulfill orders for helicopter or train or aeroplane orders, and it's a timing thing, like all these things are. I guess, you know, like Candy Crush is the same, where you have to like log back in to use your 5 lives, and then they regenerate over time. So like you want to log back in half an hour when you get a new life. It's very much like that. That's how they suck you in with the timings. If, you know, all the crops take different times to mature, and then the factories take different times. So yeah, it's really fun. It's a really good game. I do recommend it, but also it will take over your life. Just FYI. Elsewhere in life update, I can't remember if I mentioned this last time, but I've been trying a bit harder with budgeting, and I'm actually really enjoying it, recording. So I've got like a grocery budget, a fun budget, and then an other budget which covers fuel and things like vet costs. Probably should have gone in there, although we keep a savings account for the cats, and we agreed that actually we would let the savings account pay for Nino's vet bill, £115 vet bill in the week. So that's kind of nice, so I don't need to record that as coming out of my monthly budget this time. I've been really enjoying it actually, and it's just making me think a bit smarter. So I also checked where I was at with retreat payments and found that I owe money still to finish off paying for my retreats. So like I allocated 60 quid to do a payment against the next Milton Keynes retreat. Yeah, it's just good. It's just smart. And it just means like, because I paid that £60, then I'm being a bit mindful of how much I want to spend on various fabrics and new charts and things I see. So I think it is very good for me. And then the final quick thing to mention in life update, what I've been up to, is last weekend was 24 hours of cross stitch weekend. So Jen Lee, who is Quirks and Stitches, it's something that she came up with, this idea of a marathon weekend where you try to stitch for 24 hours during the weekend. And I think really it's supposed to be 24 hours out of 48 hours that you stitch for. But we actually had quite a lot of plans last weekend. So I think I probably stitched about, oh hang on, I have my sheet here. There you go. Well, 15 recorded. I think I did more and then I gave up recording. I was finding it quite tricky keeping note this time. But this is a printout also from Jen Lee's 24 Hours of Cross Stitch Planner, which you can buy on Etsy. And I use all of the printables actually. So I use the printable blank calendar to record what I stitch each day. And then, yeah, this was the tracker of like each hour, what I stitched on, and the mood for like how I was feeling, if I want to add that in. So yeah, that was last weekend. What was fun about that was on the Saturday morning, I joined into the Mirabilia Stitchers UK group Zoom chat, virtual kind of hangout, which I haven't joined into before, but my lovely friends Charlotte and Nadine, who are the Woolly Hatted Stitcher and Nad's X Stitch here on Flosstube and on Instagram, and Angelic Minxie Moo is Lou, and I'm not sure actually if she had joined a Mirabilia one of the video calls before, but we essentially agreed that we all would, and it was really lovely actually to be on there together. And then there were some other lovely people that I met too, so I did really enjoy doing that for a few hours on the Saturday. And I should say, I think it's pretty open to anyone if you join the Facebook group, and it's not a requirement that you stitch on a Mirabilia. I think very few of us actually were stitching Mirabilias. Okay, let's move into Q&A because I have 7 questions, of which 3 are from Nicola, of course. So Q&A here. So the first question, so this is questions that people ask me on my Flosstube from 2 weeks ago, which I'm kind of answering here. And then so if anyone has questions they want to ask me on this video, then comment them below and I'll answer them and talk about them on the next video on Flosstube number 7. That's it's something that Garrett, Coffee Stitcher, does, and I just thought it was a kind of a cute way of mentioning people as well that are commenting and asking things of me, and it's something that I think other stitchers are interested in the answers to some of these questions. So Wolf Down the Rabbit Hole is also a Jen, and she's asked me how I found my local stitching group. And it's ironic because I call it the Facebook group chat is called Local South Stitchers, but actually it's local as in Portsmouth and Southampton people. And I live in South Wales, so it's actually not local to me at all, which is quite ironic. But how we kind of got together was from meeting on the Southampton cross stitch retreat, and I think it was me that was involved in like saying, let's set up a group and kind of have some regular meetups if we could, because I was doing a secondment with work based in Portsmouth, so that's where it came about. So I thought I could time my hotel stays down in Portsmouth with meeting the Stitchy guys on that evening, and that would be a really fun way to not be sat on my own in a hotel. So that's how I found them. Short answer, sorry Jen, is by going on retreats. And then how I found the retreats is on Facebook groups, just by searching. So for the UK, there's a Facebook group called Mad Stitchers Retreats. I think that's the main one, where they have a pinned announcement that tells you where upcoming retreats are, and then kind of each one of them breaks out into its own Facebook page then. So there's a Facebook group for Southampton Cross Stitch Retreat, there's one for MK Stitching Retreat, which is Milton Keynes, and those are the two main ones that I go to. So the second question came from Nellie, and I've already answered Nellie in the comments, but she asked me if I'd be willing to share my skin conversion for At the Met for the Mirabilia, which I'm absolutely more than happy to do, definitely. Is it creeping you guys out how blue my eyes look? I feel like, well, wait till I show you my Haid, actually. Distractions, focus, Jen, focus, stay focused. Nellie wanted my skin conversion for my Mirabilia at the Met, which I will show you guys in a few moments. And yes, so I was very happy to provide that, and I have, if you guys want to find it, it's done as a reply to Nellie's comment on Flosstube number 5. But also, feel free to ask me again and I can write it out again for you guys. It was quite funny because for YouTube comments, I can't see how to add a photograph as a reply. So I had to type it out and try to type what the symbols were for each floss colour. So that was kind of interesting, but I think it worked out just fine. The third question was from Karen. So Karen, I feel like you've watched all of my videos. You've been here with me all along, so thank you for that. And the first thing that you said to me was that I hadn't attempted to say your last name, but actually I would have a go. I think, and your surname starts with J's, and I reckon you pronounce them like yeah rather than ja. So no, I'm perfectly brave to pronounce your surnames, but I don't want to do that on Flosstube, on the public internet, on the World Wide Web. So I am actually kind of deliberately careful not to say anybody's surnames. Which, yeah, just kind of like a GDPR thing or like a privacy concept. So you know who you are when I say Karen. That's the main thing. So your question that you asked me, it was about stitching in hand that I mentioned in the previous video, that I'm sort of new to it and figuring out how it works, and that I prefer stiffer fabric, stiffer aiders, whilst stitching in hand, just to help keep my tension a bit better. And you've asked me if I use the sewing or the stabbing method for stitching. And the answer is I use the stabbing method, and it's because I always started out stitching in hoops or Q-snaps in frames, so you can't use the sewing method if you're using a frame, I believe. Well, this relies on me understanding what the two methods are, so I can tell you my understanding is that the sewing method is what Charlotte, the woolly-handed stitcher, uses, where she stitches everything in hand. And it's where you bring your needle through 2 holes in one movement almost before you pull your thread through. So you come up in the bottom leg of the stitch, like down to finish a half of a cross. And you do all that by wiggling the fabric around the needle. So that's the sewing method, whereas the stabbing method is what I use, where I come up in a hole and like pull my fabric or pull my floss all the way up. And then I go back down the next hole and pull the floss all the way through the fabric. So yeah, stabbing method definitely. Although I guess the reason that you're asking that is because when I said softer fabric, doesn't lend itself so well to the stabbing method. So actually I think I ought to give it a try, because I have another piece, I have an Autumn Lane stitchery piece where the Ada's gone really, really soft now. So I suppose actually what you're getting at there is that it would make sense to use the sewing method now that the fabric can like really easily mould around my needle where I need it to. So yeah, I'll definitely give that a try. Okay, so next we have 3 questions from Nicola. So the first one from Nicola was, other than the Fabric of the Month Club that I talked about being a member of, the Sparklies one, am I a member of any other clubs? And the answer is no, actually. So that Fabric of the Month Club was the first club that I joined, and I've left that one for a little while now because there was other people on the waiting list to join, and I've got quite a decent stash of fabric. But there are lots of other clubs around, so there are lots of other Fabric of the Month clubs from various suppliers, and then there are lots of thread clubs as well, where they send you like 10 or 12 skeins of DMC, for example, one set every month, and then they kind of say, well, if you stick with this for a year or 18 months, however long, then you'll end up with a full set of all of the DMC. So yeah, there are lots of clubs out there. I'm not a member of any of them, and for now I'm pretty okay with that. Nicola's next question is, have I been on many stitching retreats? And the answer is, I've been on quite a few now. So my first one was to Southampton in February 2019. Then in the April and the October of 2019, I went to the Milton Keynes retreat, because the Milton Keynes one is half the price of the Southampton one. And a lot of the guys that come to the Southampton one also go to Milton Keynes. And it's a really nice venue. So that was 3 in 2019. Then in 2020, I managed to go to the Southampton one in February again, which was when COVID was sort of starting to be a thing, but we weren't anywhere near lockdown just at that point at the end of February. And then the April Milton Keynes one, so they're always in the same month, and the April MK one, we did have to do that as a virtual retreat. So Nick, that was your 3rd and final question for me for this video. So yes, I did join that virtual stitching retreat. So what I did was I was in my office, which is one of the spare rooms upstairs, and used my work laptop to join into the Zoom, because there was lots of people in there, and if I do it on a phone, it only shows me 4 pictures of people at a time. So I used my work laptop and just kind of set myself up there and stayed in that room pretty much for the whole weekend, and it was amazing. So Rob had like the run of the living room and the rest of the house to do what he wanted to do, and I was able to kind of just hole away there and join in the stitching retreat. So yeah, we very much just did what we would have done on the actual retreat, where we stitched and chatted to each other, really. And it was really fun, and I'm really glad that we did it, but it was really kind of no substitute for actually physically being in a room with all the other stitchers and seeing their stuff. So my next one coming up is October retreat at Milton Keynes, and I'm really, really hoping that it goes ahead, because I miss seeing all the stitchy guys, and because yeah, the April one was held virtually, so I've missed out on that one. But I'm not totally hopeful, really, given that we do expect a second wave to hit at some stage. So we will see. So actually that was the end of the questions, and then the 7th point that I wrote down was just to say hello to Helen, who's a fellow cat lady that lives quite local to me actually, and commented on my last couple of Flosstubes. And I sort of wanted to shout her out, but I've pronounced your name wrong. So Helen, sorry that I got your name wrong, but thanks for being here. Assuming that you have come back to watch this next video, which you might not have, but hello anyway. Okay, I don't have any finishes to show you guys, so let's go straight in to new starts. And the first new start to show you, I've got 2, but the first one to show you, I started on the 26th of July. So I wanted to start it on the 25th of July, which would have been Christmas, because it was the 25th, but in Jolly July. But I was really, really enjoying stitching Partridge in a Pear Tree still at that point. So I started it on Boxing Day, we'll say, Jolly July Boxing Day. And it was this Christmas piece, Santa's Gifts, by Joan Elliott. Oh, it's a bit glary, isn't it? Sorry. I think you can kind of see, you can definitely see that. I'll zoom in a bit closer. So this is Santa's gifts, and I just had a fairly small, modest start really. It took me quite a while getting the thread card set up for it actually. So this is all that I've got so far. So it's on this beautiful purpley fabric. Oh, it's really shadowy and strange with this bright sunshine. So there's some green coming down here, which is in his coat, and white and grey stitching. And I'm using, oh, it's better if I hold it back here. I'm using this lovely mottled lilac-y colour fabric. It's 32 count Belfast linen, hand dyed by Sparklies. And the colour is March Fabric of the Month from 2020. So it doesn't get a kind of a colour name as such. It was just the March 2020 Fabric of the Month. But it's really, really beautiful. And my second new start, I've actually just started today, so it's a 1st of August new start, but I have finally started Beauty and the Beast by Aurora CS. So I will show a picture here of what that's going to look like because I don't have a printout. And then I will show you where I've got to. So I've kind of started, oh, there you go. I've kind of started in the top left corner here. It's a meagre start. It's like 120, 130 stitches so far. But my plan is going to be to stitch in 10 by 10, like 100 square blocks, and kind of come all the way over the top and then snake back along, a little bit like I stitched my Haid full coverages. But we'll see. I mean, I'm not going to be totally rigid with it, but I just think it's a nice way to break up the black outlining and the bright colours for the fill-in. There you go. So yeah, not too much to see on that yet, but I really wanted to start that this morning. So that is new starts. Oh, and I'm stitching that on a 20 count white Zweigart Ada. There you go. Didn't feel natural to say Ada then. I don't use Ada too much, but yeah, 20 count white Zweigart Ada that I think I just found on Amazon. So nothing too fancy there. And I'm stitching it 1/1 as well, which is really pleasant actually. I'm really enjoying it. It's kind of sparse, kind of meagre on the coverage, but I think it'll be just fine by the time I handle it and touch the stitch in and they fluff up a bit, and I think it'd be really good. Let's move along to whips then. So I have 4 whips to show you. Whips are works in progress. Oh, look at my bra falling down. All right, well, that's completely uncool, but hey. Sorry, whips. Let me insert my divider. And the first whip to show you is my Heaven and Earth Designs, All Cats Go to Heaven. So I've actually stitched loads and loads of this cat since you last saw it. So I'll insert a picture here of roughly where it was looking, or roughly where I was at. I'm just going to do it by going back in my camera roll to 15th of July, which was the last time I filmed a Flosstube. So it'll be kind of rough. Oh, everything's blown away. Hang on a minute. Hold on a second. Okay, so without getting the glare in it, there you go. I think that's kind of good. So yeah, I've worked on this cat, and the reason why I was talking about my eyes looking really bright blue in the sun is how bright these blue eyes are, which when I first stitched them in and I didn't have the nose and the mouth and any of the stuff beneath, it was absolutely terrifying. I will insert a picture for you here of the spooky spooky kitty with really fluorescent blue eyes, but actually it is how the art looks. What do I mean? It is reflective of the actual artwork, and it doesn't look so terrifying once you've got the rest of the kitty. Like, he's got really quite a bright pink in his nose as well. I'm really sorry, it's all shady and shadowy. But yeah, that's that. Let me show you a picture here of what the full finished piece will look like. And I've only got another, I think, like 3, maybe 4 squares to finish over here. This will be the end of the top row. So once I've done that, I'll be able to unfold and show you guys a really nice, long, slow look at the whole top row. All my Heaven and Earths, this is exactly what Jessie Marie says, all my Heaven and Earths are stitched on 25 count, easy count, 1/1 full crosses. Okay. Did I tell you that's All Cats Go to Heaven by Heaven and Earth Designs. Artwork is by Jim Warren. Right, my bit of paper blew away. Oh no, it didn't. We're okay. Okay, so the next whip that I worked on was at the Met, which is my Mirabilia, where I've already mentioned I'm converting the skin tones to a darker skin. And when I showed you this last time, oh, in fact, let me show you first of all. So this is the called for, kind of as charted at the Met. That's what she looks like. But here is mine. Well, hang on. Take your time here, Jen. So let me insert a picture of roughly where it was when you last saw it. And then here is where she is at now. So if I kind of hold it back a little bit so you can see the whole thing. So what I've stitched is a whole host of the dress coming down here and a little bit more of the pinky colour and a bit of purple into the sash. And then I'm really sorry, if I come too close it goes all like sunshiny there, look. So if I hold her back a little bit and if I cover up my big nose, that would be helpful too, wouldn't it? So yeah, you guys have already seen her beautiful, beautiful face and backstitching because I wanted to get that all in really fast so I would see if my skin conversion looked kind of okay. And I'm really thrilled with it. And then, yeah, lots more dress. So that's stitched on 32 count Zweigart linen in Country Mocha colour, which I love the neutral colours. So that's her. Next whip to show you is Partridge in a Pear Tree by Joan Elliott, and I'll insert a picture for you here of what the full design is going to look like. And my goal for July, for Jolly July and Christmas in July and Joan Elliott July and all of the things, was to make really, really good progress on this piece. And I'm really chuffed, I think I really have. So here is where I'm at now. So I've totally reached this side over here. What do I mean? Top right corner here. And I've fully finished backstitching the 3 French hens. And I've done a fair bit of the backstitching on the 4 calling birds. So the stitching's all finished on those and just a tiny bit of backstitching still to go to finish them off. And then I've got the Krynick and the top of the 5 gold rings written in. And you can see that the gold rings are going to be stitched in Krynick themselves, with like a lovely red bow across the middle. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased. It's a long old slog because all of these middle sections here are really full coverage stitching, and it does take a flipping long time. And there's, so like within these red birds, for example, there's probably 4 shades of red in there, including fractional stitches. So yeah, it can be a bit slow going. And I also had the issue where I miscounted over here. I hadn't done enough green squares along the top border, and I started coming down with the red border too soon, and I wasn't going to have room to fit in my word in a 5 gold ring, so I did have to frog quite a bit out. So I'm glad that I finally got that fixed. But whilst I was annoyed with that, I did do this extra like little bit down here, and I brought the blue down a little more there. It's really, really, really fab. So yeah, I didn't want to put it away when it was my scheduled day to start Santa's Gifts. And to be honest, I wasn't keen on starting Santa's Gifts at all, and I really just think I've done the start on Santa's Gifts, but I'll put it really deeply away now, and when I need to work, when I want to work on Christmassy Joan Elliott stuff, it will be this piece until it's done. Which is very doubtful to be by this next current Christmas, so I think Christmas 2021 should be the goal on that one. I should explain to you for a second why I'm saying that I sort of forced myself to start Santa's Gifts if I didn't want to. So it is something that I've kind of mentioned before. It's lose hashtag is hashtag oh no you don't start all the things Sal. And it's an idea that in 2021 we want to make really good progress on our whips and finish lots of things so that we get our whip number right down. So I mentioned it to Lou and Charlotte, and I said, shall we try not to start anything or start very few things in 2021? And we agreed we could have 5 new starts in 2021, so we'd have 1 for each retreat. that Lou and I go on anyway, which is the 3, the 1 Southampton and the 2 Milton Keynes. We'd have 1 birthday start and 1 wildcard start, so that would make up the 5. But then we said, well, how are we going to make sure that we don't start everything in the rest of 2020? So we put a cap on how much we could start for the remainder of 2020 as well. So my cap was 10 new starts. I think we discussed and agreed this sometime towards the end of May, start of June. So I've already had 3 or 4 of those new starts. But the idea is if I don't use them, I'm going to lose them. So I'm not going to roll forward any of the 10 slots into next year. So I really am trying to schedule in some new starts. And then Loophole Louise, I've been calling her. Loophole Lou, she's absolutely lovely. She's amazing. But she came up with this idea that if she finished 3 whips, of which 1 was from her equivalent of her list of 10, which I think she actually was allowed 12 because it was her birthday, and because she's Loophole Louise. But she said if she finishes 3 whips and 1 is from that new list, that new list of 10, then that earns her a bonus new start slot. And she's been absolutely powering through finishes, so she's already earned herself 2 extra bonus slots. And then we had a bit of a discussion the other day, and we did agree that a Heaven and Earth page finish would count as a whip for these purposes, because we thought otherwise we'll never want to make big progress on our Hades, and we've all got quite a few of those on the go. Sorry. So yeah, so that's where we're at for that. And hence why I wanted to get, and I wanted to start the Christmassy one, Santa's Gifts, in July, and ideally on the 25th, but I thought, yeah, so I'm glad I started it, but now I don't think I'll have a look at that one again for quite some time now, until I can get Partridge finished. Okay, 4th and final whip to show you is Pandemic by Long Dog Samplers. So I'll insert a first picture here of the full piece. Well, I mean, I always cut off a bit in my editing, but it'll be most of the full piece. And I'll show you a picture of where I was at previously. And here is where I'm at now. So I've done lots and lots and lots on this because I was pushing to finish the page. That's what I didn't tell you actually about my All Cats Go to Heaven. Let me do that a second. I've got something like 200 stitches left on this page because there's 3 blocks, but I've already partly stitched some of them. So I really wanted to finish this page for the end of July and to finish the Pandemic page, which I've done neither, but early on in August I should get both of those things, both of those goals achieved. So I've come across the top, this marks the edge of the first page, and then from beneath I'm most of the way down. I think I've got another sort of 10 or 20 stitches down to go, so down to around here. So it's not a great deal left, and I've really found my groove on this project, and I bloody love it. I absolutely love stitching it. So I'm using black DMC 310, and the red is this 115 beautiful variegated floss, which I always like to show you the skein, because it looks lush in the skein, where it's got some darker bits and some lighter bits. But then actually I've now got enough in the stitched piece for you to really start to see that beautiful red variegation as well. And my plan is to do the animals or the birds in red, and then to pick other kind of highlights. So like these little red triangles I've done in red, little tiny bit in the middle of that border I've done in red. I'm a bit nervous about that actually, because I think if the border matches on the other 4 corners, or other 3 corners anyway, I keep thinking I must remember that I put that red in there to match them, but it's cool. That's going to be years away, I think. And down here, look, is the start of the body of a little red squiggle, or squirrel. I call them squiggles. And then this is the top of a really funky bird with a crazy hairdo here. So yeah, finish off that bird, finish the bushy tail coming up here of this red squirrel, put the lovely black geometric in, which I'm enjoying. There'll be another one of these red hearts upside down to go in there. You can see the black outlining of where that heart is going to be in there. I just love it, and I really do want to get that page finished, because it's because I'm a copycat, and I liked Nadine's idea of finishing a page each month since we'd started it. So that would mean in August to finish out this page and get a whole additional page added on, which I think I can now that my eyes have really adjusted to stitching. So I'm stitching this on 28 count, 1/1 full crosses, so they are teeny weeny. You can see in the context of me how tiny the stitching is. And yeah, to begin with, I found it quite a strain on my eyes, but I'm fully into it now and I bloody love it. And the fabric is it's 28 count even weave by KLT Charting in the colour Rum and Raisin, which is again just a beautiful neutral, which I adore. It's my favourite. It's definitely my favourite fabric colour of hers. Okay, that's the end of whips. Let's head on into haul. So I've got two things to show you. Oh my days, it wants to blow off again. Two things to show you for haul, which is the fabric for Jack's Bash, which came in the post from Lakeside Needlecraft. It is, I wrote down what it is. It's 35 count vintage Edinburgh linen by Zweigart in the colour is Country Mocha again. I seem to have quite a lot of projects on this Country Mocha at the moment. So it's called, the called for is a 36 count, I think. It's a picture this plus colour that I did have a quick look if Lakeside or Peakside or, did I check Patchwork Rabbit? I think I checked Patchwork to see if any of them had it in stock and they didn't have the called for. So I've gone for this and I think it's pretty similar. It just needed to be like browny neutral colours. So that arrived for Jack's Bash, which I will insert a picture for you here actually of Jack's Bash because it's on my plans that I'll tell you about in a moment. And then the other thing that arrived is my embellishment bead pack for Princess Eliana, or Princess Big Skirt I call her. So I'm just going to zoom her right into you to save me needing to insert a picture of her. She is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And someone that I've seen on Instagram is doing a skin conversion of her as well. They've converted her skin to like a medium browny, kind of grey colours in it, but it works. It looks absolutely beautiful. So part of me was tempted to ask for that, conversion and potentially do a bit of a copycat on them. But we'll see. I think, you know, she is beautiful. Because she's got the leg pinging out here at the bottom, which you can't see so good actually. But yeah, I'm excited to have that. Lots of noisy rustling. So then the other haul, the only other stuff that I bought was DMC for Santa's gifts, which I've actually not even opened yet. So it came through the mailbox and is on the floor in the hallway. But as I said, I'm, not feeling keen for Santa's gifts at the minute. So I have been buying some other stuff, so there'll be lots to show you for next time, and that's because tomorrow I'm actually going down to Portsmouth to see the local Stitchy girls, which I'm really excited about. So it'll take me 2 hours 10 minutes to drive to Kim's house, where we're going to sit out in the garden and order pizza and have a cross stitch and just see each other for the first time in months. So for me, it might be the first time seeing these guys since the retreat, actually. If the retreat was the last weekend of February, /1st of March was the Sunday that we came home from retreat. And then I think 2 weeks later, if we were due a meet up around then, would have been when the lockdown was starting to come in. So I don't think I went to that next meetup. So yeah, I haven't seen them since the end of February. So March, April, May, June, end of July, 5 months. That's nearly half of a year that I haven't seen those stitching girls. So I'm well excited. So when I'm there, Kim is the owner of KLT Charting and she's got some stuff for me. So she's got a hand-dyed fabric that I ordered a while ago and some thread packs as well for my next 2 Heaven and Earth designs. So what I did was I called Kim and read out to her on the phone the DMC number that I needed and how many crosses were going to be in the pattern. Excuse my crazy hair. So she was able to compile thread packs for me, which I'm super excited about getting those. So I'll have those to show you for next time. I've also, this morning in bed, I ordered the Gentle Arts threads for Jack's Bash. Although not a lot, 4 of the colours are out of stock and they're out of stock at all the UK suppliers that I checked as well. So we'll need to see how I get on with that, whether I decide to use the DMC equivalents for the missing ones or if I try to wait and kind of leave those areas unstitched whilst I order when they come back into stock. I haven't fully decided yet, but I'll know when I see the colours that I've The other thing that I've bought, which is on order but is really exciting, is it's for Autumn Lane Stitchery, which I think is going to be, what's she called, like Dark Goddess or Dark Undersea Goddess, something like that. I'll insert the picture for you here, like their promo picture, because it's got a bit of an outline of what she's going to look like and some of the details on it. So this is Autumn Lane Stitchery's first stitch along, and they've paired up with Under the Sea Fabrics, which is a lady called Leslie based over in the US, and she's hand-dyed fabric specifically for this piece, and they really encouraged us to buy it from her if we could. And I've always wanted to try, it's kind of like on my list, I suppose, to try a piece of Under the Sea and a piece of Picture This Plus and a piece of Hand Dyed by Stephanie, like some of these non-UK suppliers at some point. So I went pretty wild and ordered the linen from Leslie. So I had quite an expensive international shipping charge to add on. But I've also ordered the bead pack from her because they're not conventional Mill Hill beads, I don't think. So I wanted to order those from her as well, so I know I've got all the right stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping that might be here ready to show you next time, because the sale begins on the 1st of September. So today is the 1st of August, and they were supposed to release the floss list for us today, although it looks like Aaron's having some issues with that. But I actually haven't bought the PDF chart as of yet because of my budgeting and the amount that I've already spent on stitching stuff this month. I was thinking I might need to buy it when I get paid on the 20th of every month, so my budget will reset on the 20th of August. So that'll still give me 10 days prep time to have the chart. And they said it's absolutely fine to buy it anytime. They're not going to take the PDF down from their website or from their Etsy. Okay, so very briefly, let's move into plans. So my plans are firstly to start Jack's Bash on the 13th of August for Dark 13 stitching. And these things that I mentioned, Dark 13 stitching or Long Dog Leap Day sale, actually I should have said that's when I really had a power through on Pandemic for the 29th for Long Dog Leap Day. And what other things have I mentioned? Joan Elliott July or Christmas in July stitching. Things like that. They're all hashtags. They're just like little, I don't know, like, yeah, group things to do together, stitching along. So yeah, Dark 13 is one of those, and that's when people stitch on things that are a bit dark or a bit spooky or a bit gloomy or Halloween related, which is why I really want to start Jack's Bash on the 13th of August. That's the plan for that. So I really hope that my gentle arts come in time. I've got 2 weeks. I've left myself 2 weeks. Well, 12 days from the 1st of August now, so I think it'll be all right because I've deliberately ordered the ones that were in stock and I didn't add the out of stock ones. I want to make good progress on this Beauty and the Beast stained glass window one, so the black outlining with the lovely colours. I want to make lots of progress on that. I really want to finish the page on the All Cats Go to Heaven and Earth designs, and finish the page on Pandemic, and I think really, I do want to be on a page a month, so I need to make some pretty good headway into the next page as well. And then the other things are, I really want to try and finish some of my other whips as well. So I don't know if you guys get this feeling, but I've been working on the same sort of stuff for quite a while now. And I'm ready to finish some other stuff. So things like my Emily's House or my Rolodex sampler, I really want to get those guys done. But we'll see if I get a chance to bring them out. It's because I've got all these new starts that I'm squeezing in. So 2 new starts already planned into August. Doesn't leave me a lot of time for other whips. And then the other thought, actually, which is an open question to you all, is I was thinking about trying some more fabric dyeing, but just using household silly things. So, what's she called? Kia B from, is she called Kia B Quilting or Kia B Stitching on Flosstube? She had a tutorial where she used tea, but like a red coloured tea to dye some fabric. So like fruity teas or herbal teas, and I was thinking I might like to have a try of that at some stage. So I just thought that's something that's low budget to try with plain Ada that I've got in my stash anyway, and I don't mind if I ruin it. So yeah, I thought some berry flavour fruit teas, or I've got a lemon and ginger. I quite like drinking lemon and ginger tea actually, which I think that might make a cool fabric colour with like a yellowy neutrally tone on that would be fairly inoffensive. So that's something that I might try, but we'll see, because I say these things, but then usually if I've got some quiet time, I would rather be sat down cross-stitching. But it's something that I might do next time I see Nicola as well, because we had fun when we did some tea coffee dyeing last time. That was a few months back now. And it wasn't a completely roaring success. Well, that's not true. I did start a piece on it, which I would have showed you in my whip parade, which was a like welcome snowman thing from Stony Creek Samplers, or just Stony Creek, I think. So yeah, actually it wasn't, it wasn't completely unusable, but anyhow. Right, let's leave it there and just say again, thank you so much for watching, for being with me. I really appreciate all your comments and your likes, and who knows, if you spread the word a little bit, perhaps I will look at doing a giveaway for when I reach 300 subscribers. We'll see. My reservation on that is if the winner of my giveaway was an international stitcher, someone overseas. So that was my reservation, but I suppose if I picked something from Stash or something kind of inexpensive, well, no, it doesn't really matter, does it? Like, it's lovely that you're all here. But yeah, I was thinking I probably should offer international postage. And I guess I did send stuff, I sent those Paintbox threads to Rachel, Stitch for Sanity, who I'm doing the Rolodex morning sampler with, and she gave me the missing stitching. So yeah, I mean, I totally can do international shipping. So leave that one with me. I'm not promising anything, but maybe that's a little hook to hit subscribe if you didn't hit subscribe yet. Okay, thank you so much, guys. I will see you next time, and cheesy sign off is keep stitching.